Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Santa Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks, and it is a brand new episode of Who's That Cosplayer? And joining me today is somebody that I have had the pleasure of meeting at several cons here in Virginia. Every time I see his cosplays, I am always super excited because this guy, he does not post what he's going to be debuting or wearing at a con, and when he shows up, it is always a huge surprise, and that is JC. JC, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing real great now that I didn't get all them kudos. Like I really appreciate it a lot, my guy, because I really be trying. I really do. So I really appreciate that.
Hey, you're welcome, man. And hey, that's from the heart. I really mean it because every time I see him, y'all, like it's always something new. And like he could tell y'all, like I'm always super excited. It was at NecoCon this year. He had did a Pops cosplay. And I was just like, yo, like, that's awesome. But what was crazy, I think you had did Pops before, but I think I had never saw the cosplay online. So when I did eventually see him at the con, I was hyped. Right?
I appreciate that, my guy. Hey, yeah, definitely was. Yeah. Because, we was, chatting at the photo shoot and stuff like that. And I was like, bro, I appreciate it because it took me a long time to make that thing, bro. So when you put that work in and then you get the love for it, it means a lot.
Hey, I truly and totally understand where you're coming from with that. So we're going to talk more about Pops and JC's other cosplays here in the interview. So before we get into today's interview, everybody that's watching, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And as D always says, podcast link down below in the description. Like, follow, subscribe. Let's get into today's interview. The Great Gingerbread War is almost here. JC, are you ready?
I'm definitely ready.
All right, awesome. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, JC, the first question that I ask each and every guest up here is, what is your origin story? Every hero or villain has one. So tell everybody who you are.
My name's Jordan. I'm just a horror fanatic that found cons recently and just start, every time I go to them, I just fall in love with them more and more. And that's just about the beginning of it.
That's awesome. And it's crazy because the first time I had saw you at a con was Tidewater Comic Con this year, and you were cosplaying as Art the Clown, who you're cosplaying as right now. And I was like, man, like you look really good as Art. And it's kind of like a full circle thing, everybody that's watching, because it's like I met him and I interviewed him as Art, and now he's on Who's That Cosplayer as Art. So it's just really funny, man. But you know, you said that, you know, horror is something that you really love. And I just got to know, like, what was it that drew you to horror?
Well, honestly, every time I even ask myself that question, the first thing that pops into my mind is The Thing. The Thing, that's the first thing that comes into my mind because, I always watched horror movies when I was small and stuff like that, but when I first seen The Thing a couple years ago and I seen the practical effects, that's what started it all. And every time I watch a movie, I just love practical effects. So that's why I love Terrifier also, because it's just practical effects heavy. So The Thing that's what started it. And from there, it just spiraled into a dang snowball of blood and guts everywhere.
Nah, literally. I feel you on that, man. And you know, movies like The Thing, Terrifier, what's the movie? Alien, like just seeing those practical effects. I mean, even like movies that aren't horror movies like Jurassic Park, and you know, seeing the practical effects and the puppets and stuff that they use in those movies, like those movies still hold up to this day.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I be saying. Like that puppet work that they have to do, it might be like 3-4 people doing making one movement on the puppet, but it just looks better. It just looks better than a computer, you know, generated thing. Literally, yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So I gotta ask you now, like, what was it like going to your first con? When you went to your first con, did you do a horror cosplay there, or did you do something different?
My first con that I went to was Galaxy Con. But when I went, I didn't do any cosplay because I was new, so I didn't want to, you know, just do a cosplay for the first time. I just wanted to see how it is, stuff like that. So I was kind of still new, and I didn't really know that it was more cons in Virginia, really, because Virginia's small. We ain't got but so much stuff here. So I just figured, I just had to wait till next year the Galaxy Gun. So I waited the next year. Then that's when I did my first Leatherface there. And after that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this environment. I gotta find more. And then I found a lot more in the local area. So that was my first one. Was good old Bubba.
Okay, all right. So now, when you did go to your first con and cosplay, like, how was that experience for you?
Oh, it was like 2 times better than going when you're not in cosplay, because I don't know. I feel like it's different for everybody because everybody goes to cons for different reasons most of the time. But I don't know, when you just in a cosplay, you just get to interact with people on a much more intimate level, and when people yell out your name and stuff like that, it's just always a genuine, wholesome moment. You know what I mean? So it was just so great, and I was just meeting so many new people and stuff like that. So after that, I was like, dang, well, I know I found me a new hobby.
Yeah, I love that. So, now keeping it on the talk of your cosplays, and like I said at the start of the interview, like, you always surprising me with, what you do and surprising others. I want to know, like, what was it that led you to, wanting to make your own cosplays?
Honestly, just, we just go to the con, you see people there, and you just be like, dang, they really created that. And you know what I mean? Like, when you create something, it just feels different. I don't really know why, but I seen that, and then I was looking online at people creating stuff, and I'm just like, it's levels to it. So when you make your own, it feels great. When you buy your own, I still respect that too, because you got to go out here, you got to get the money to buy it.
Yeah.
But when you make it, it just feels different when you see the process of it slowly but surely getting to the end stage, and it just be like, dang, I love it. So that's my favorite thing, because especially when I make a prop, and it can be a prop that I can use at a con and a prop that I can use at home to just sit there and look cool, I just be like, yeah, it definitely is worth it to me.
So I want to ask you now, like, what has been the hardest or most difficult thing that you've put together?
The hardest, I'd say probably the hardest is probably the Audrey 2. Yeah, because I mean, I haven't really made nothing that I would say that's really hard, really. Everything that I made just time consuming. It just takes a long time, literally. So yeah, I'd say that was, I guess, the hardest, because that took the longest.
Yeah.
Because I had to paper mache a big fitness ball, and I had to do it 4 times, and I had to wait for it to dry on each side. So it just took like
it takes a lot of time.
It took a long time. It took a long time, and I couldn't finish it at one time because I had to keep letting it dry.
Yeah.
So it was a long time, but I feel like it was worth it though.
Yeah, and I feel like when you're doing something that's time consuming like that, because like for my Samahata, it's just like, I had to spray paint it, right? And it's like you want to touch it to make sure that everything is straight, or if like there's anything else that I need to do to it, but it's just like you have to sit there and play the waiting game, and sometimes it can be very taxing, because it's just like, oh man, like, why do I have to sit here and wait so long just for something to dry?
Literally.
Like, why can't it just dry like that? So I totally understand that. So I want to ask you, what is some advice that you would give to somebody that, wants to make their own cosplays from scratch?
I mean, I don't really think I'm the person to give advice, because I'm learning myself. I'm really learning every day, literally. So I would just say, honestly, just get the materials and just go and practice. I mean, practice really does make perfect. I really learned it. So that's really all that I can think of. And I mean, these days you watch a video, you'll get the basic grasp of it, and just, yeah, that's really all I can think of, because I'm still new myself. So I really feel like I can't be giving out no advice.
I mean, but that's solid advice though, because I mean, like, I'm still new to it as well, with making props. I've only done 2 props, both my Samahata swords that I've done for Kisame. And, it's a long process. Like the first sword didn't take that long. You know what I'm saying? It only took a few hours to make, but actually like doing Samahata unwrapped, and I made it all out of cardboard, and had to cut every single box so that way it would represent a fin.
Every time I look at it, I'd be like, dang, I know my dude, he was doing some cutting.
Yeah, so and it's like you give people advice off of what you can give them advice off of, and like that's pretty solid advice that you just gave, because you never know who's watching this interview and who you may inspire. And that's one of the things that I love about cosplay, because you do meet people at conventions that they see your stuff and you may inspire or motivate them, and you create like a magical moment for them. So I want to ask you, has there ever been a moment at a convention that you would consider a favorite?
Who's that cosplayer?
Enduring Sunflower.
I think I have 2.
All right.
The first one is probably going to sound biased because we're talking right now, but honestly, when we did the Hellraiser interview, that one, and obviously the art one, but that was still new, and I feel like my makeup wasn't up to those standards yet. So I'm gonna say the Hellraiser one, because every time you do the interview, I'll just be like, man, this dude is good. This dude is good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any interview, I just be like, I love him. But that was definitely number 1. And then number 2 is I went to Nightmare Con and I met I'm blanking on his real name, but the big brother from E.T. I met him.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't even like meet him, like go to his booth and talk to him, meet him. I didn't even meet him like that. He came up to me and he started talking to me. So that was crazy. And he was complimenting me on the outfit, blah, 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 blah. Then this dude he was like, you want me to send a picture to Damien, the director? I'm like, sure, why not? So he sent a picture to the man.
That's awesome.
Then he texted back and he was like, wow, he did an amazing job. So that just blew my mind. Then he let me meet I can't think of the people's name, but the main kid from ET.
Yeah.
I was talking to him. Then he introduced me to D Wallace, and I love D Wallace. So that, I think both of those is like the best, because then right after that I went to the competition, and then I won an award there.
Hey,
so
that's
I was
awesome.
like, what is going on today? I don't know what is going on. So that was definitely like, and my whole family was there. It was a whole bunch of aspects.
That's awesome. Hey, bro, that's like a movie. It's just like,
it was a whole bunch of aspects there that was just coming all together, and I was just overwhelmed with happiness. So that was like a real wholesome day for me, truly.
And let me ask you something. What was the theme song going through your head after all of that happened, and that was the credits playing for the movie?
That's you can't give me one of those I gotta really think about, because it's got to be a banger to just wrap it all together. But
I'll tell you mine. Like whenever I think of like an ending song for my movie, it's the Fugees' "Ready or Not." I don't know why.
Yo,
I'm just like, it's just like,
I swear on my life that was in my mind, but I was trying to think like, would that work at the end of my movie? Would that like make sense? But I swear that was literally the thing that came to first song that came to my mind, because I don't know, that just feel like it just, when that just stopped playing, it just feel good. I don't know.
It does. It is. I mean, it's a good song. I mean,
it's amazing song.
It slaps. It slaps.
Yeah.
So now I got to ask you, before we, get to some of the Christmas stuff, I want to know, what is your favorite horror movie of all time? And you know what? I'll give you a twofer. What's your favorite? Because on the podcast, you know what? I'm going to do it like D does. My co-host Rebellious D. He always has his famous questions at the end of all of our podcast interviews. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite horror movie of all time? Answer that, then I'll ask you the next one.
Oh my God, bro! I gotta slim it down to just one.
Just one.
Just the
just
main
one.
one.
Yeah, just like when Doctor Strange put that one finger up and told Iron Man what he had to do, you only get one.
Well, I'm gonna have to go with. Dang, bro, that's ridiculous. I'm gonna just go with goddamn Hellraiser. I'm gonna just go with Hellraiser.
Okay, all right. I mean, that's a good movie. It's really good, and it still holds up, man. It still holds up.
10 out of 10, literally.
So now the second question that D always asks is, what is a memory from your childhood, something that, scary that happened, that spooked you, creeped you out, and you remember it till this day? It could be like, being over at your grandparents' house and like hearing that grandfather clock going off, or thinking that there's somebody standing outside your window and all it was a tree. What do you got for me?
Oh, so it gotta be like a real life scenario.
Yeah, something that scared you or spooked you when you were younger.
Honestly, I really don't think I have one on the top of the head that I can think of.
Dang, that's interesting.
On the top of the head, I really can't think of one.
That's all right. Well, we can move on to the next question, because I mean, like, it's one of those things where it's just like, like I thought that there was a ghost in the house or something like that. I mean, like, I've heard some crazy ones like over the years, man. So if you can't think of one, that just means that you're really brave and nothing fazed you. And
I mean, I can think of a movie scene that scarred me when I was small, but I can't think of like.
That could be something too. That something like that. That if it was a movie that you watched and it really scared you, and like till this day, like Pet Sematary 2, there was a scene in that movie, and I still remember that scene, and it gave me nightmares all the way till I was in middle school. And I saw this movie when I was in the 3rd grade. So yeah, what do you got for me?
You said Pet Sematary 2?
Pet Sematary 2. I had never seen the first one.
I watched the second one, but I'm gonna definitely check it out just as you said that. But the memory is from, I know it's from a Saw movie. I just can't remember which one. I'm pretty sure it's 3D. But it was the trap when they had a guy sewn to a dang seat.
Oh, and yeah, that was the third. Yeah, Chester from Linkin Park.
Yeah, literally that. It took me like about 3, 4, 5 years, like into the horror hole to force myself to watch that, because I'm like, I'm gonna get scared again if I watch it, because it scarred me as a kid. But that one always literally just scarred me like for years, for a long time. It
was messed up. It was definitely a messed up scene, bro. So I totally understand. And you were right. It was Saw 3D, Saw 7. But yeah, I mean, like, I totally understand, because there's some crazy stuff in those Saw movies, and when you see it, it's just like, like, why am I putting myself through this watching this?
That one got me. Every time I ask somebody, they always say it's a Saw scene that it always gets them, and that's the one for me. That's the one.
Yeah. So now to move things to like a more cheerful scene. We're here at the end of the interview, and JC, I gotta ask you, because the Great Gingerbread War is approaching us. I want to know, what is one of your favorite Christmas memories of all time?
I'm gonna have to go with it was a snowy, beautiful Christmas day. So that's already a treat right there for snowing in Virginia anyways. So boom, that was already happening. Opened all my presents up, you know how they go. And then the food started cooking, and I'm thinking everything done, it's the end of the day. Then my dad says, "Hey, you still got one more gift." He opened the front door. A dang go-kart is out there, brand new. I run out there cheesing. So that right there, I don't know. That's the number one memory from Christmas that I always remember. That always make me so happy. Yeah, because I'm just like, I didn't even expect it. Like I lived in the country, so I always said something like, "Oh, I want a go-kart. I want this, that. But I ain't never really asked for one, so I didn't expect to get one.
Yeah.
So it's like, that was the treat right there. That was a treat.
I love that. I mean, like, and that's so awesome to come outside and see. I have a go-kart waiting for me. You know,
right?
what I'm saying?
And it was more crazy that they literally sat there and lingered on it for a little while, and then just gonna throw it to me after the fact. Like, I'm just like, man, y'all is crazy. Because if it was me, I wouldn't even have been able to hold it in that long. Because I'm gonna probably want to get on it myself as an adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, so, I totally understand that. And that's an awesome Christmas memory. And that's an awesome way to wrap up this interview. JC, thank you so much for joining me up here on a brand new episode of Who's That Cosplayer. It was awesome talking to you. And before I let you go, let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
I'm pretty much just on Instagram at _J__C. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. That's where I'm at.
Awesome. Hey, y'all make sure that y'all go and give JC a follow on his Instagram. Y'all already know where you can find me, your hero Benjamin Banks, at KingBenji_Banks on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mrs. Zuckerberg. With that being said, keep that pinky up, stay positive. The Great Gingerbread War is almost here. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.